So here's the fourth week of our train journeys, and if you look at the map you'll see where we've already been. Down the North Wales coast twice. We've been down into Derbyshire, Glossop, Buxton and Derby. We haven't so far been into Shropshire, which is where Telford is. And just above Telford you can just see Shrewsbury. We'll put that on the map and we'll go there first. So we arrived in Shrewsbury by train and we stepped outside the station and it was absolutely throwing it down with rain. It had only started raining in the last few minutes of our journey down from Chester, so we just struck unlucky today. We've walked down a few hundred yards to the riverfront. The River Severn winds its way through here, and we found a Wetherspoons, which is one of our normal venues for getting food at a reasonable price. The Shrewsbury Hotel behind us is a Wetherspoons, and a very nice one indeed. And let's hope this rain will go off and we'll be able to show you a bit more of Shrewsbury before we go home again. There was a little drizzle as we left the railway station and we walked around the corner and saw the bus station, and just a little further along the road we came across Wetherspoons, and of course, as I said, we had our lunch there. You'll see from these pictures that I turned my back on the beer, but literally in this case because it was right behind me. The rain keeps going on and off, but we're walking along the riverfront anyway. We see a tree that's fallen in the river, and we see a couple of items of interest a little bit further along. Charles Darwin was born in the Mount House in Shrewsbury, and his name is banded around a few places in the area. The Sentinel steam wagon was made in Shrewsbury and sold worldwide, and there's a steam wagon right here on site by the river. Shrewsbury is sometimes called by the locals Shrewsbury. I'm not sure why, that we need to rename that book The Taming of the Shrow. Whatever you're going to call it, it's traditionally been known as the Town of Flowers, and you'll see that mentioned on a few of the major roads in the area. Another unique feature is St Chad's Church, defined by its unique circular nave, and St Mary's Church has elaborate stained glass windows. Well, I don't want to speak too soon, but the rain seems to have gone off. We've had the odd little drop of drizzle, and we're standing in front of the quarry, as it's called, Quarry Park. Could be because it used to be an actual quarry, but there's a beautiful area inside there called the Dingle, and it's just got lots of flower beds. It's got little lakes and fountains. It's even got a little head of Percy Thrower, who those of you who have my sort of age may remember used to be the TV gardener. So a look round the gardens before it starts raining again, and we have a backstop that we can use if it does rain, because in the opposite direction we can go into the market hall and hopefully keep dry in there, and apparently that's worth a look. As the sign says, this is St Chad's Church, and it stands right at the top of the quarry gardens, and the Dingle is just below. The reason that Percy Thrower gets a mention is because he built his own house in 1963 at a place called Merrington, which is 6 miles northwest of Shrewsbury. Percy is quoted as saying it gave him a garden of about 1.5 acres to play with, which was something he'd never had before. Well, the dingle certainly shows off Shrewsbury as the town of flowers. Now let's go and look for this market hall, and we need to go straight up this alley here, and on the way down here we see a stop me and buy one ice cream bike. Anyway, the market, it's on 2 levels as far as the shopping is concerned, but you can go up a further level and get a viewpoint across the town, which of course I had to do. While we're showing you the pictures of the stalls on the ground floor, if you look in the background around the edges, you'll see a kind of mezzanine level which has got more shops upstairs. Back out of the market hall, and nearly opposite we notice the Loopy Shrew. I shouldn't think that's of any historic interest, but Rowley's house and mansion is. Rowley's house was built by Roger Rowley, a wool merchant from the 1500s, and his son built the mansion in 1618, and it's believed to be the earliest brick building in Shrewsbury. There seem to be quite a few quirky and historic buildings in Shrewsbury, and if you're thinking of coming here, make sure you walk around the streets on foot and have a good look. And so we get the train down to our final destination for today. It's Telford Central, and at the station we have to go up in the lift, don't fancy all those stairs, onto the footbridge level, because the whole town centre is built in a very compact and modern arrangement across the other side of the railway. By coming up to this level, you can forget about all the road systems down below and go straight into a rather large shopping centre. We're not going in there today. We're going to carry on into the leisure areas around the back. Plenty of places to stay, plenty of places to eat. We had our dinner there before we took the train back home, and there are other leisure facilities, and this is obviously designed for the locals, the people who live here. There's a park which is part of the town centre. It's all been purpose built. I think it almost like one of those 15-minute cities that the government are trying to dream up. There's a bowling alley and a cinema and lots of coffee shops, and there's lots of playgrounds for the kids. There's huge areas of parkland. There was a fair on site. Yeah, you name it, it was there, but we didn't have much time, so we've made a resolution to go back there soon. When we've been travelling across the country down south to Portsmouth and across to the east coast and Lowestoft and places like that, we tend to have left the area on the M54. So we're quite familiar with the services at Telford, and we're also fully aware that there's a lot of electric charging here, and it's not enough. And there's a row of half a dozen special Tesla charging points, and on this day we were there, they were all full as well, and we saw another Tesla come into the car park, saw that he couldn't get a charge here, turned around and went out again. So I see a day when more people have electric cars and they won't be able to charge them anywhere. So travelling by train seems to me a great idea just now. Let's head for Merseyrail for our final segment this week. This onboard information screen shows that we have just left Liverpool Central, the next station is Moorfields, and the final destination is Ormskirk. There are a number of other displays around the train of different types, and everybody gets a charging point at their seat. There are special areas for wheelchairs and prams, and there are also bike racks that allow 2 bikes to be slotted in. As you can see, this is just one long open train, and the display systems around the place will tell you the information you need to know. This screen is now showing that we've left Old Roan and we'll be getting into Maghull at 11:07. It's a real-time display. Well, so far on Merseyrail we've been to destinations at the end of the line like Chester, Southport and New Brighton, because they're all resorts and there's plenty to do there, plenty for us to see. The other lines are not quite as interesting, and today I'm on the Ormskirk line. Ormskirk is a nice little market town which I did look at earlier in the year, so I can show you what that's like. But I've stopped off at Maghull. Now Maghull is an interesting place because there's a Frank Hornby, the railway guy, museum here in the Maghull library. So I got off the new train here and have a 10-minute walk into town. Now the station here is worth a look before we do that, and it's looked after by volunteers, and it's one of the most attractive stations I've seen in a long time. They've really done a good job on it. And if you want to go into the town centre from here, there's a little shuttle bus that takes a few minutes. It's called the Comfy Bus, and it's a hybrid bus. I decided to walk. It's only a 10-minute walk, and there's some interesting things to see on the way, including crossing the canal. When you get into the town centre, or by the time I got into the town centre, I felt like I needed a coffee. So just opposite the library, there's a little coffee shop called Betty's. So I stopped at Betty's and then went over to Frank's. Frank Hornby's life is actually portrayed on the poster on the railway station, but the complete timeline is also inside the museum. There's some comfy chairs up here where you can take a look at the extra large size Meccano, and then of course look at the Hornby trains. They're the main event. Dinky toys, and strangely enough Baco are here too. I was building houses with Baco when I was about 5 or 6 years old, but I can't find any of my friends who actually had a set of this. Most people of my age had a train set when they were younger, and some of us have still got bits of it. I must get mine out one day. But for now, we're going to go on the brand new Merseyrail trains as they've finally got into service, and continue our journey up towards Ormskirk. The Court Leet is the Wetherspoons I picked for my lunch today here in Ormskirk, but before I went upstairs I decided to follow the music I could hear, and it led to a little community cafe just down this alley. If you watch regularly, you'll know this isn't the first time I've tried to eat outside of Wetherspoons on the upstairs terrace overlooking the area. Well, this time I managed to get through my meal and drink without somebody starting a bonfire and smoking me out. And in true social media style, I have to tell you what I had for lunch. Back out in the town centre, I'm heading a few hundred yards up the road to see what happened to the development of the new bus station that I last saw in February. Turns out it opened in March. It's been operational since, and I've just not come back to have a look. It's a pretty large bus station area with 5 bus stops spread out in a kind of U-shape, and it all comes off a new mini roundabout from the main road. They've created a new pathway up from the railway station, which means you don't have to cross over a load of roads and bridges and things just to get to a bus. The bus station is well planned with wide pavement areas, proper cycle lanes, and even a place to stash your bike if you're going on the bus. The display boards show both the train and the bus times, and it seems that there's rather a lot of buses going towards Southport, so my arm was twisted and I went to look for one. You can see 2 buses just coming round towards me now. The first one was going to Wigan, so it just passed me by, and the second one stopped halfway round the U-shape and I had to go chasing after it, but it was going to Southport and it left straight away. The bus was purely a means of getting from the far end of the Ormskirk line to the far end of the Southport line. There is obviously no crossrail system here. Have a look at the station platforms. They're extremely long and extremely wide. No apparent reason for this, but I assume there must have been long trains here at some point in history. I've stopped off the train at Crosby Hall Road, which is like halfway into Liverpool from Southport, and this is where the Gormley statues are on the beach. They're spread out over a really large area, and I just happened to find one of the ones near into the shore, and it's rather short, like it said, its legs chopped off, so I'm kind of towering over this one. The rest are all fairly full size. Crosby is the place that I grew up and went to school, so this area has a lot of memories for me. None of them involved the Gormley statues, they weren't here then, but certainly came to this beach a lot with our youth club, and we had barbecues down here and all sorts. That probably wouldn't be allowed these days, as most things aren't. Anything that's fun is definitely out. Still managed to enjoy myself travelling backwards and forwards by train, and so pleased that I can use Merseyrail to make these trips all for free because of my concessionary pass. The line that comes from Southport into Liverpool carries on to Hunt's Cross, and there are a number of places on this line, both this side of Liverpool and the other side, which are worth an explore. So have a feeling that this 4-week series isn't going to end here, and that we're going to carry on doing a few other trips, exploring the places not at the far end of the line, the destination, but just along the way. I'm ending this edition with a look at the part of Southport town centre that was involved in walking from the bus to the railway station. Nice little musical journey to end with.
And this love's so good.